and the ancestors are looking out for us. God Hayes is exposing them, man.
Okay, you see that chair right there? See how big it is?
Yeah.
Now look at the poke chair under. Scroll down, look at the poke chair under.
Never have it been made so clear.
Young TV. Young.
We running the game right now.
Young TV.
Time to take over.
Young
We the hottest in the game. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button. If you just not tuned in.
TV.
Share,
right.
like on your Instagram, Facebook.
You can see me now, right?
Young
Yeah.
TV.
If you tuned in, we broadcasting live from 2030, baby.
Young TV. Young
Taking over the game, baby. Oh yeah.
Young TV.
Hit that like,
Young TV.
get them likes up in the air, you heard me?
Young TV.
Ride by. Hotel Islam.
Young TV.
Assalamu alaikum. Flown lesson. Peace be
Young
unto you.
TV.
Hit that like.
Hey y'all, we back with another banger. Y'all remember last time we had Lady Chief V Indigenous on, and she was cracking heads and twisted caps, talking about the emergency room. Look, I went over that tape, and I created this tape based off the last tape, based off of two drops that you did. The one was the flipping. You can't just flip over so many big mamas, and don't count them before you go back to Allah, whoever these other guys is that we don't even know about. And then it was another one about okay, there you go. Yeah, so like these questions, I created this tape, the activation of the mitochondria, because we hear about Mother Earth, we hear about Mother Nature, all of these mothers. But so the man, but it's men out here that get offended because the mother is rising again, and that the matriarch is rising back to power. Some man saying, "Oh, that ain't good. That ain't how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be. It's gonna be balanced with the patriarchs." And when that came, it got rid of the women, but the matriarch included the men. The men were like the enforcers, the chiefs, yep. Right? The clan mothers picked it. So my first question, and like I say, I got clips. I got a whole bunch of clips to go along with the title that we could go over, and we'll kind of like ad lib over what they were. I'll give your opinion on what they're talking about. But my first question before we get into the clips, everybody hit that like, hit that subscribe button. We got Lady Chief V Indigenous back on. She about to get ready to crack heads and twist caps, y'all. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button, like I said. Yeah, so Mother Earth, Mother Nature. So we hear about the mother. So how, and then we hear about the mitochondria. We're gonna get into that. But the Mother Earth, Mother Nature, why isn't it Father Earth, Father Nature, or this and that? Could you go into that?
Okay, so what it's really about is just the blood memory of the earth. So think about woman's DNA, and our DNA is basically unchanged, meaning our mitochondrial DNA traces back to the blood of the earth. So thinking about DNA, the double helix, but it's really like a coiled serpent. And so in the lineage of women, indigenous women specifically, they're carrying that ancient coiled serpent, almost like Kundalini energy back, weaving it back through time, all the way back to the Mother Earth, the greatest mother. That's literally like the blood of the earth, is the coiling of the mitochondrial DNA from mother passing on from grandmother to mother, mother to daughter, and so on and so forth. So that's just those people that say, like, why isn't it Father Earth? For the same reason why the women's X chromosome is 2 times larger than the male's. Why? Like, you don't get the female from the male. It's the opposite. The male comes from the female. So everything would have had to been feminine first. You know, the sex of the male isn't even determined. All babies are female first. So nature just, we as humans, we don't replicate anything outside of nature. We are nature in itself. So it's just getting people to adjust their mindsets to the norm, away from what's normally taught, the indoctrination that they have, and just realigning with nature. Looking at nature and observing nature will basically teach you everything you need to know about yourself.
The other question that was from that tape that you said that really stimulated this tape, you said about you can't just flip over big mamas, and the other one was about the uncle, or you might have that uncle or somebody that's like, you may have a Beethoven or somebody in your bloodline that's a part of your DNA, and you can activate that because it's a part of your DNA. Could you go in on a little bit of that before I start this first clip?
Oh, absolutely. So basically what I was talking about is the epigenetics and the way ancestral memory is carried on through the bloodline. So you are a compilation. So mitochondria, this is an easy way to break it down. Mitochondria is, if you do the etymology of the word mitochondria, I think it traces back to grind, or the salt, to grind something like salt. And so when you think about DNA and genes, you have 1 million ancestors grinded together in your blood to basically create you and all of the things that you're capable of, your traits, your personality, okay? So anything that's already there can be pulled from. You just have to be able to activate it and to speak to that within yourself. So when we talk about lineage and what someone is capable of carrying that mitochondrial DNA or the epigenetics that's passed down from one ancestor to the next, you are your ancestors. There's no better way to put that. So anything that they were capable of, you can tap into at any time. You just have to be able to call that to the forefront within yourself.
That's fire. That's fire. Hey, everybody hit that like, hit that subscribe button. We're about to get it cracking. Let me roll some of these clips and then we'll get into it. Let's get it cracking. Let's see what we get. All right, let's roll some of these clips.
So once I realized, like, yo, the DNA in this fruit is communicating with the DNA in my body and activating genes from the sun. First of all, my body, which has melanin in it, is absorbing sunlight. With that sunlight, it's actually activating my genes through mitochondrial DNA. I'm like, yo, I gotta get closer to the sun. I gotta get closer to the real world. Then I start looking at my reality. I seen the squares everywhere. I remember watching The Matrix, and I remember
yeah, I just want to play that first part. I ain't a big fan of this guy because, you know, he went rogue. He was doing good at first till he started being a womanizer. But that's another story. But I just wanted to play that first part about the fruits and the connection to the sun and the mitochondrial DNA. So it stands to reason that the mitochondrial DNA, they don't even know how long it's been here. It's like the first genetics here, pretty much, coming from plants, etc. Because plants have female, male plants. Right. So my question is,
this planet was seeded with something. When this planet was seeded with life force and life energy, that's the root. That's what you're getting back to. But the clip that you played was so powerful because he talked about the food and getting the nutrients from the sun. That is literally like the ancestral engine. So being able to tap into the food, you're fueling that ancestral engine. And it's kind of like what we talked about before. What we talked about, everybody's tribe has their not only their cosmology, but just the way to fuel themselves. So you say your tribe has a certain diet that you are supposed to adhere to based on where you're indigenous to and where your ancestors were, that teaches you how to eat, what you should eat. So what he's saying is actually true. I agree with that. You know, this being under the sun, getting your nutrients from the sun, that's just basically your ancestral engine. So you're powering up that ancestral engine.
So being that we know that that fruit was connected to the people of whatever that land, because we know like certain fruits is indigenous to the land, like you just said. Like we know in Florida that they grew it on oranges. In California, those areas, the people that's on Gulf Coast, they eat a lot of shrimp and seafood. Where other people that's got iodine, well, they really pausing it because they the shit that come from Mother Nature out of the ocean is not poison, but when they get it lab grown and farm grown, they feed it certain iodines and poisonous. So the stuff that we're getting is not really from nature. It's like farm grown stuff like the tilapia and shit like that they're growing in the farm. But what I'm getting at is he said something about the fruit and the DNA from the fruits, and the fruits got mitochondria. So could you go in on why? So that's what GMO. Could you go in on GMO? That do you think that was, since they knew that information, that the fruits is connected to us and connected to the land and connected to the sun, that they had to alter that to try to alter our mitochondria with the GMO, genetically modified organism?
Absolutely, it 100% is, because the women stand as the bridge between the unseen and the seen world. So we talk about eating with intentions, and you're fueling ancestral energy. Anytime you dilute so women are generally, the mitochondria is undiluted. It is undiluted ancestry tracing back to the first mother, okay? The essence. And so it's like the matrilineal signature of Mother Earth. And so anytime you are putting poison in your body, GMOs, things that don't align with you tapping into your ancestral wisdom, you are basically diluting your mitochondrial DNA. That's why they pump all these pesticides into the food. Like when you start breaking down the ingredients in the pesticides, that's literally what they're targeting. Your genes. They want to change your gene repetition. They want to change your gene expression. And so because they know women stand as the gateway between the unseen and the manifested worlds, if they can get control of that, then they can basically go back and taint the original mother. And that's what they're trying to do. They basically want to rewrite history. And the only way to rewrite history is to change everyone's gene expression. Some of these people that we are dealing with when we talk about the powers that be are from a place that is upside down and backwards. So they have the man is the woman and the woman is the man. And so they, or like almost like a hermaphrodite, if you will. They don't come from the undiluted source like we do. And so they're trying to basically destiny swap with you, if you will. And the only way to do that is by tapping into the only undiluted source on this planet, and that's going to be the mitochondrial DNA. I can't, you're muted.
Hey, y'all, we about to get more into it. Hey, sorry about that. We about to get more into it. We got Lady Chief V Indigenous on. She about to crack heads. Let's roll that next coin. Let's roll that coin.
Who came first, man or woman?
Definitely woman came first.
Chicken or the egg?
The chicken.
The chicken came before the egg?
The chicken came first.
That means the man came first.
The woman is the chicken because the egg comes out of the chicken and the man comes out of the woman. You can't deny that.
So
women give birth to males.
That is true. The story of Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
You feel that it is a true story, but it's just backwards?
True story.
Well, I don't mean true. Do you take the story as it's said, but just do you flip it with, the rib Eve was created?
Oh, right. I mean, see, that's just one narrative as far as the cosmology, or you say the beginning story.
Yes.
It's very similar to other stories, like stories in Kemet, the stories in the Babylonian stories.
Who came first, man or woman?
Definitely woman came first.
The mitochondrial Eve, or the Eve gene, is a gene that is directly connected to the melanated woman, meaning that the melanated woman is the original giver of life, meaning that all life began with her. Your seed would cease to exist if it was not able to fertilize the egg. I don't think that some of you guys understand your position in this life. I didn't say what I said to disrespect men. I said what I said because it's fact. The position of a man in this life is to protect the woman, to protect the life giver so that his seed can thrive and his legacy can continue. You cannot give life. You cannot push out a child.
Also, you come from a melanated woman. You help produce a melanated woman. How can you not see the power and the beauty of a melanated woman?
What is the name of the first man on the planet? Now that's maintained in the secret societies and in the atom chambers of the mystery schools of Egypt. Aisha. Now is that masculine or is it feminine? Oh, please. I'm telling you, brother, there's a lot that our people need to know.
Now I got more clips. We got 100 rounds. You know what I'm saying? We keep 100 round drum, right? Like, hey. Yeah, we got the drum section, man, like Gravelin State University, man. We got that drum section. And Southern. Shout out Southern University, man. Hey, yeah, so my question from that is that what's your opinion on or your perspective on the man or the woman being first? Because our math teacher taught us about once you start studying science, it's a total opposite of what religion came in with the man, Adam, the real thing. If you take it and put science on, you can make sense of it. But it don't agree with science. It goes totally against chromosomes when you start studying all these things. So what's your perspective on that, on the man or the woman being first?
So based on science, if we're going to be scientific, there is no way around that you can get a man manifesting first. You don't get male energy in this. It's just impossible. Your DNA expression doesn't complement that story. It doesn't suggest that story. So one of the first things that I said is like the woman's X is 2 times larger than the male's Y. So that means that he is a mutation of her. Alphabetically, it's X, Y, Z. So we have 2 X. You guys have an X and a Y, but our double X is 4 times the size of your XY. So it's just impossibly, if we think logically. And the story of Adam, so church is there to basically discredit nature, right? The religion is there to discredit nature. So its whole story is to take you away from nature and replace it with something artificial. But even if we talk about the metaphors and religion being a bunch of allegories and stories wrapped in metaphors, they say Eve ate the apple, right? And that's why the fall of man and all this stuff. And that's why we're in the position that we're in. Well, if Eve ate the apple, then why do males have an Adam apple stuck in their throat?
Mm-hmm.
Science disproves nature every single time. Scientifically, the man has an Adam's apple. It's called an Adam's apple, and no one ever thinks like the Adam's is stuck. So who ate the fruit? It's stuck in his throat. Every man alive is proof that Adam ate that fruit.
Man, that's deep.
And so when you see the attack on the women now, like April has been one of those crazy months where like every time I log on the social media, I see another story about a woman getting murdered or, some sort of tragic event happening at the hands of men, it's almost like there's some sort of code that's being activated through the food, through the poison, through the COVID thing that people took that jab, and it's just like they're activating some sort of attack on that mitochondrial energy.
Activation. See, what I think is that at a certain time that they knew that it was on a timer, that our mitochondria was on to put on a timer. And I think that once that sun cycle reactivated that DNA, because there's a whole bunch of books out about it, and then it's a whole bunch of like monks and other people that's like spiritual esoteric people, they talk about the activation of the junk DNA. Even Doc mentioned it in the Holy Tablets. So it's like they talking about, certain amount of percentage of your DNA is junk DNA, and it can be activated because they cut the Anunnakis, put it on a timer, etc. What you got on that part?
Absolutely, and I agree with that, and that's why they do so much with the sun to try to block out the sun, to try to block out that DNA from activating. Absolutely, that's why they spray the sky so we don't get natural sunlight. You know, we have to elevate above a certain height, literally just to be able to get pure sunlight. You know, you have to elevate above where they spray the skies at to dilute it and to block it. But the things that they spray below is the things that are basically keeping us stuck and keeping the DNA. It's the nanotechnology. It's a bunch of things they got going on working against us in the foods. I mean, we're just at war on all sides. And so that keeps a lot of the divide. And then, you know, we poison ourselves even more with the social media content, the internet stuff, and it is just a microcosm of the greater macrocosm of what's actually happening.
Now I got another question before we go to that next clip. I remember the master teacher, Dr. Malachi Z. York, telling us, he was teaching one day, he was teaching about DNA, and he was saying that DNA, the mitochondria, is always recorded, like it's like a recorder, like a video recorder. And so, like, it's like when you swap saliva with each other, like say if you kiss with your husband, after y'all be together for so long, say 20 years, 25 years, y'all begin to look alike. Y'all, because I see a lot of couples that been together 40 years. Yeah, go ahead. You know anything about that?
You
about
like brother and sister after a while.
Yeah. Then another thing too, he said that defects, say like and you could go in on this, he said like if a father, when he was a little boy, say like he was like 10 years old, he was riding his bike and he broke his leg, and his DNA recorded that leg break or that weak spot in his bone. So then when his son was older, I mean when he had a son, his son had that when his son was born with the same weak spot in the bones where his dad had it, because like it passed that one of them genetics. But then certain aspects he had weak spots that he had of his mom, but his dad, so that passed down through his DNA. So, and you can be kissing on a frog man or goon on a goblin, and that can go into your DNA. Yeah, and you can produce goons and goblins. I'm telling you. So, what is your take on that? The swapping of DNA, and you know the seriousness of drinking behind people and all that, because you swapping DNA and using public bathrooms, all it. To me, I don't really like public bathrooms. Go ahead.
So that's actually funny, because what you're talking about trauma, and so trauma is 100% passed down through epigenetics. Whether that's physical trauma, emotional trauma, any kind of trauma, it's going to be passed down. Your body is a recorder, and so it's recording everything ancestrally. Real crazy story. A friend of mine that I know, a girlfriend who just so happened to be molested by her uncle when she was a child. She was 6 years old. Her real father went to prison, and her uncle kind of stepped in to help her mom out, and he started molesting her. And
Dang.
That was a trauma that she kind of internalized within herself, right? And had to work through. But one day when she became an adult and she had her own children, she had two girls, and they were, I see myself now. Okay. So her daughter just was out the blue, her daughter caught her crying, and her daughter comes up to her and says, you know, "Mom, crying. I know what Uncle did to you, and you know I would never let that happen to you again. That's why I was born." She says she never told her daughter that story. She never, because you know her daughter is under 10 years old, so that's not even something you would expose children that age to. But her daughter already knew what happened to her, and she said that she was born basically to help her heal from that. So it is 100%. Trauma is passed down epigenetically through from mother to daughter, from father to son. Anything that you experience, that's the same way you're able to pull the positive out of that. It's just like the slavery syndrome that they say is passed on to us, you know, because our ancestors endured whatever the case may be. That's where a lot of issues in our neighborhoods and our communities come from. It's the same concept. It's the same concept. That's why healing trauma and doing that shadow work within yourself is going to be super important, because as you heal, when I heal, I'm healing my grandmother. I'm healing her traumas. You know, I feel like I have a paranoia about going to mainstream hospitals because of the trauma that my grandmother experienced, where she had to go to hospitals doing segregation, and they would not even let them enter in through the main hospital entrance. They had one back room in the back that they would have colored people in, and she almost bled out one time. And so they were in fear, literally, of having go to these community centers and hospitals where they had to deal with these doctors that didn't look like them. And I know for a fact that 100% was passed down, because I know that because all of my grandmother carried me. Every woman that existed inside of their grandmothers first. Here's how. When your mother was inside of your grandmother, every single egg that your mother would have ever produced was inside of her in the time that she was conceived and carried by your grandmother. So your grandmother basically carried you when she carried your mother. I carry my grandchildren already, because when I was pregnant with my daughter, every single child that she's going to produce was an egg already when she was a fetus. And so the trauma, that is just passing down trauma from generation to generation. And that could be a positive thing, that could be a negative thing. But that's why breaking generational curses is going to be super important for our people, because that cycle, that's where the loop keeps going. A trauma loop is a trauma loop, is a trauma circle.
That's right. So it's the same to say that apple don't fall far from the tree.
Exactly.
You look at it both ways. Yeah. The apple don't fall far from a tree. Let's get into this. Hey, y'all hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Let's get into this next clip.
In the last session, I had somebody to ask the question, or they said, so how do you give birth without a man? Say it in idiot terms. Okay, let me say this. I wasn't able to respond fully in that last session for the simple fact that there is no way to explain any of this in idiot terms, because you cannot be an idiot if you're wanting to gain access to your power. So being able to give birth without a man is a power, and you cannot be an idiot if you want to access that power. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to break it down for those who really want to know. If you really want the information, I'm going to break it down such that you can go and look up the information for yourself. Okay. And then that way, when somebody comes and tells you, oh, this is not possible, or this is not real, or they say whatever they want to say about the information that has been given to you here today, you will be able to stand on it because you saw it for yourself. Okay. You've done your own research. When we're talking about the being able to give birth without a man, I've got to go all the way deep into the molecular side of this. So again, this is going to be a long session. If you're trying to tap into powers, you can't be an idiot. So if
Hold on, they might try to copyright me on it because it's got that sound. Hold on.
In metaphysical cosmology, Anunnaki DNA does not mean literal alien genes. It refers to archetypal consciousness strands seeded into early humanity by high-level beings associated with the Sirius Orion continuum. These strands govern three things: the solar will, which is strength, determination, and the capacity to build and command. Genetic memory, ancient instincts, multidimensional awareness, and psychic recall. Then we have serpent intelligence, the ability to rise energy through the spine and awaken higher centers. In the body, these are symbolized by the spine, the Kundalini currents, and the mental and emotional and soul intelligence braided together. So activation means.
Yeah, so yeah, okay, all right. I got my question based off
You
of
was
that
about
short
to
person.
cook with that.
You want me to play that whole? You want me to play the whole thing? I can play the whole thing. Okay, let me play the whole thing. Then
In metaphysical cosmology, Anunnaki DNA does not mean literal alien genes. It refers to archetypal consciousness strands seeded into early humanity by high-level beings associated with the Sirius Orion continuum. These strands govern three things: the solar will, which is strength, determination, and the capacity to build and command; genetic memory, ancient instincts, multidimensional awareness, and psychic recall. Then we have serpent intelligence, the ability to rise energy through the spine and awaken higher centers. In the body, these are symbolized by the spine, the Kundalini currents, and the mental and emotional and soul intelligence braided together. So activation means awakening dormant aspects of will, memory, and inner fire. Part 2. The three primary Anunnaki strands. The ancient tablets describe three core currents: the Kishar line, strength and physical mastery; earthbound power, bone memory, survival instinct, and endurance; the Anshar line, mental command and strategy; pattern recognition, leadership, telepathic coordination, and high intelligence grids; the Inky line, creativity and genetic adaptability, intuition, healing, innovation, and the ability to evolve beyond limitation. When these currents awaken in balance, the human becomes a solar architect rather than a servant of old bloodlines. Part 3. Signs your Anunnaki strands are dormant. Feeling disconnected from purpose, low energy or lack of willpower, difficulty manifesting desires, feeling mentally scattered, fear of personal power, forgetting dreams or intuition, emotional heaviness in the lower chakras. These sensations simply indicate the ancestral fire has gone quiet. Part number 4. Safe activation practices. This is not about rituals, genetics, or physical alteration. It's about activating symbolic inner architecture. Number 1. The spine ignition breath. Inhale. Visualize a golden serpent curling at the base of your spine. Hold your breath. Imagine it lighting the vertebrae one by one, and then exhale. Release upward to the crown chakra. This clears the channels once associated with the solar serpent. Number 2. The command seal of Anshar. Place 2 fingers on the center of your forehead. Then whisper mentally, "I call the memory of clarity." This activates the mental grid connected to strategy and insight. Number 3, the inky creativity current. Place your hands on your lower abdomen. Visualize emerald water swirling. This activates the intuitive, adaptive strand. Number 4, physical anchors. Certain actions strengthen these currents. Grounding your feet into soil. Hydration with mineral-rich water. Sunlight on the spine. Speaking intentions aloud. Expressing creativity, like writing, drawing, or listening to music, or performing music. These practices tell the dormant archetypes that the body is ready. Part 5. What full activation feels like. When the 3 strands harmonize, people often experience sudden clarity of purpose, increased life force, enhanced intuition and dream recall, strong personal boundaries, deeper emotional resilience, a sense of royal memory awakening, the desire to build, create, or lead. It is the feeling of becoming the architect of your own timeline. Part 6. The Neteru Perspective. The Egyptians saw the Anunnaki currents as cosmic inheritance, neither good nor evil, but powerful. Thoth taught that these energies must be balanced by the heart. Ma'at, without the heart, the Anunnaki strands lead to dominance. With the heart, they lead to solar sovereignty. Power without wisdom consumes itself. Power with wisdom becomes creation.
Hey, I'm glad you made me watch the whole thing, because now I got a couple more questions off of that whole thing. I got a question tied into the Kundalini. But my first question, because I got some 5 questions off of that. Yeah, my first question, he said something about the lighting the fire, the ancestral fire inside of you. And when he said that, I flashed back to some that the master teacher, Dr. Malakazi York, used to teach us about, that you have a living fire, like it's literally a fire in you. Then he made a scientific connection where he says that, what does a fire give off? And people say carbon dioxide, or CO2, whatever. Right. And then what does it take in to the fire to breathe? The fire uses oxygen to breathe. Because if you take it and smother it off, cover it with flour, what they call like the fire extinguisher, that they got the powder, different types of powder to cut off the oxygen on different types of fires. So, but we breathe in oxygen and we give off carbon dioxide like a fire, and it's connected with the solar plex. What do you have on that with the and two? Also, I found out on through studying that the solar plex is connected with the metabolism. Like, so if you get up with the sun and you exercise in the morning and start the sweating mechanism, open your sweat glands.
Circadian rhythm
That's
with the
how
sun.
Go ahead.
Yep, it's the natural circadian rhythm of the earth. One of the what you talking about, the Dr. York lecture for one, and he had a story that was so deep on that when he was talking about melanated people, and he would say, the importance of us getting in the sun and meeting the sun. He was like, I bet you 90% of y'all, when y'all wake up in the morning, one of your nostrils is stuffed up and you don't even breathe properly. He said naturally. And then he said, once you wake up and you get up and you start moving around and you go outside, it naturally unclogs itself. So your internal sunlight meets the sun outside and starts to activate that within yourself. So that was kind of like what you were touching on there. But the sun, so that's kind of like where I was going when I say the mitochondria is like the almost like a golden serpent. And so going back to spiraling back to the first mother, but it's the same way like the kundalini energy within yourself. So it's that is that kundalini energy within yourself. You got to think about the sun. So there was a time before the moon existed here. And when we talk about what comes first, the man or the woman, there was a time when there was only women on this planet. Okay. And there had to be a contract of some sort made with these other beings or entities or energy or with themselves, to where they wanted to separate themselves. It's like a shadow self. So you want, they say European people and are the shadow of the original man. When Yakub created them people, he created them as a graft of us. So all the negative things of us were grafted out of us, and they're the living manifestation of that. So women at some point decided that they didn't want to portray both sides of this energy. They didn't want to do all this physical work. They didn't want to do all this physical labor, and at some point wanted to graft something to carry that physical labor for them. And so there was a contract that had to be signed. This is for my own research and my own studies of ancient information and knowledge. And that's when the moon was placed here. And that's when women started having menstrual cycles. Before, when women could recreate on their own without needing a man, we didn't have a menstrual cycle. The menstrual cycle is the proof of the contract that was signed, a reminder that you signed a contract to be able to grab this part of yourself. And now we get the mirror, and it's called masculine. So that's when we talk about that ancient DNA and the Y chromosome coming about spiritually, and cosmology, the cosmology of it, the ancient wisdom that goes back to whatever different tribes we all descend from. There's going to be a story that all indigenous cultures have of the time before the moon. Some of our ancestors even remember time before the moon. That's passed down in fire circles. Fire circles. That ancient wisdom is only passed down to the fire keepers within the tribe. So those people who hold that ancient knowledge, it's ironic that they're called the fire keepers, but they'll tell you a story about us existing on the land prior to the moon. They look at the moon as some sort of technology. Okay, and that technology is what allowed now us to separate ourselves and get a masculine form of ourselves to be able to create man. It's almost like the virgin story, the virgin birth story.
Hey, you just said something about the moon, and from my studies of the moon, I'm seeing that the moon control the tides of the water, right? And that we are made of a certain percentage water, some 75, 78, 80% water. And then I noticed that the women's menstrual cycle is connected with the moon. So could that be the same as the ocean? The women is like the ocean because the woman has a high tide. Her high tide is when that time of the month, and when her blood overflows and comes out, just like the ocean goes up with the moon. And they say that women's is connected with the moon. Could you go in on some of that science?
Yeah, so look at it like this. We talk about the primordial waters, right? Mm-hmm. Life on this planet come out of the water. It was seeded in the water first, and life sprung from that water. So women are basically that primordial waters in a sense. So the way the moon, whatever contract that was signed with these higher beings or entities, when they placed the moon in our atmosphere, it was basically to control the feminine. That is what allowed patriarchy to rise up, because it put women on a 28-day cycle. It literally put us out of commission for at least a week, a month. A week. It literally takes women out of commission for a week, a month, to where we can't really focus on anything else other than overcoming what we have to go through. And that's why we will sync up. If we're a group of friends or, mother, daughter, things like that, we're all in sync with each other, because we all trace back that ancestral energy to the primordial waters that we sprung out of. And so it is a mechanism used to basically keep accounts of, keep control of, if you will, of the energy, the feminine energy. It is a technology used to control the feminine energy. And another way I would look at it is like this. The same way the church is designed to take you out of nature. And we can look at all these ancient churches that pop up, and we can say those were our ancient energy centers. And they put the churches there, they put the priests there to basically make sure that we would never return to reclaim that power. Well, when you look at the history of the woman in the church, and you start seeing how I forget what it's called when they take the nuns and they put all the nuns in one place, like the movie Sister Act. Those are the ancient sibyls. Those are the ancient matriarchs that they have deemed crazy and psycho, and they need to be controlled and under the guise and guidance of the church. So the whole concept of women being nuns and being kept in house, that is a way to thwart the control of the ancient powers. It's the same way that the moon is there to control that ancient power and to kind of put it on a schedule to maintain it and keep it in a cycle that somebody else has the greater keys to that they can control.
Hey, everything you saying, I can relate, because in the Bible, they said that's when the curse started, where woman had to have birth pains. This is the Enlil deal. The Enlil cursed the woman because she was listening to the serpent, according to what they said. And man ate the apple, like you just said, right? You made a good connection on that. So I'm saying that despite it makes sense of what you're saying about the moon, like it was some kind of contract. I think that contract is made right there in the beginning of the Bible, and some people say that's 6,000.
Because the blood. Think about all ancient contracts and rituals are signed by blood. We bleed every month. That's a proof that the contract was signed. You're signing that contract in blood. So to be able to produce life or carry on that life, you have to basically reproduce that contract on whatever cycle they set us on, every 28-day cycle with the moon. That is a blood ritual that women perform naturally.
The blood moons, all it. Yeah, now it's starting to make sense now. Another thing, because the Enlil said curse the woman.
If women do magic,
go ahead.
That's why when women who practice magic and spirituality, whether it's paganism, whether you are aligned with a more organized indigenous practice, but when you do your rituals and things like that, if you use your menstrual blood, it is the most powerful thing you can use in any ritual. It seals that spirit, because we are the barrier between the manifestation of what's real and what's unseen. And so that blood is some of the most powerful thing you can ever use in a ritual, because it is the proof of that contract being signed between the unseen and the manifested world.
You also said about religion is feminine. I believe that too, because if you look into the origin of Christianity, it leads you back to the Black Madonna and her breastfeeding the child, because they still do that over in the Vatican. He still bow down to the Black Madonna now. And then in Islam and in a lot of Judaism, a lot of they synagogues or their mosque, it's got women agriculture. What I mean like women sculptures. Like Doc used to say, like the breast. A lot of their domes represent the female breast. It's a lot of feminine structures, a lot of parts in their structure. Another question I got for you is about the medicine symbol and the Kundalini energy, and it looks like a DNA. The medicine symbol that they use, which is
the DNA.
Yeah, it looks just like the DNA.
That's what it is.
Go ahead.
You just reminded me. So when I was talking about the etymology of the word mitochondria, the first translation, when it goes back, it means thread.
Okay, fine.
That is what mitochondria, literally the etymology of the word breaks down, is to thread. And then the further back you go, it means to basically grind that thread into small pieces like salt, to grind it up. And so you're basically threading your ancestry back to the salt of the earth. So the word itself tells the history.
Okay, that's fire. Now, okay, so that, like I said, that DNA thing looks like just like the medical symbol, and it's got two serpents, and the reptilian brain. We got something coming up on that, but dealing with the heart chakra, because he said something. One of the guys said something about the heart chakra, and we know in ancient Egyptian culture, they give us a paradigm where Anubis, all the Tahuti is there. Then Haru was taking them, to be judged. But their heart is weighed. The heart is weighed. Why do you think? because we hear even in my ancient, like back in the day in Christianity, when my granddad used to say different Bible quotes. He used to say, out of the issue of the heart, the mouth speaks. Or when people get drunk, they speak their heart. Speak with their heart. You know, like it's always your heart. When in football, when we playing football and we gotta run into a guy and try to knock him over, they say, "Oh, he got heart," because he, you know. Or even when we game banging and we busting the cap on somebody, oh yeah, he had heart because he bust the cap on this guy. Could you go in on that, because the heart seemed like it was the most important to the Egyptians? Why they ain't wear the butt cheeks? You know, why they ain't wear eyeball or leg or something? Yeah, or right. You know, why they ain't wear something the brain? It seemed like they people were saying the brain, and I know people that's living with their brain not working, but as long as their heart working, they stay alive. Right? I didn't see that, but you can be brain dead and they can put you on a machine. As long as your heart going, you cool. But if your heart go, it's a wrap. So could you go in on that, the heart chakra, why the Egyptians were the connection of the heart? Because it seems like it's more important than any other organ from the Egyptians' perspective, as far as spiritual. Yeah.
And yeah, you're absolutely right. So they want your heart to be lighter than a feather when they weigh it. And so you have 3 brain centers in your body. Your brain here, which is like the computer homing center, your heart, and your stomach. You have 3 brains in your body. Your stomach is where your nervous system, every nerve in your body got over 1 million nerves connecting in the stomach. That's why they say trust your intuition. You get a gut feeling. The same kind of sayings that they say have about the heart. You know, they say about the stomach. So you have 3 brains in your body. This is the brain. This is the one that basically connects all of the other organs in the body. So it's not even the first brain. It's the third brain. Your stomach is your first brain, your heart is your second brain, and this is your final brain. This is the one that basically takes the information from the stomach to the heart, and then they process it up here using the 5 senses. This connects the 5 senses up here. But this is your intuition, and then your heart is going to be the balance. It's going to balance it out. It's going to take what the intuition that's coming from your stomach, balance it out, and then send it to the headquarters in the computer system to give your 5 senses a chance to now digest it and then say, okay, I can kind of calculate and compute what's going on. I don't want to just think with my heart. I don't want to just think with my intuition. I got to have a balance of those 2 things. And that's what the brain up here does. So the heart is telling you, it's almost like your spiritual intuition is in your chest, and your soul's intuition is in the gut. So it's a mind, body, and spirit. Those 3 things have to connect. Those are 3 brains. Mind, body, they all have their own brain. One is your intuition, the other one's in your chest, and this one up here, the mind. So it's those, I mean, they were laying it out plain for us. I think allegory and story, we got more caught up in it, but if we break down the science, they were laying it out very plain for us. That's why they separated all those things when Pharaoh died and took all of those things out. Because they knew the importance of those things. So they would can them and preserve them separately. The heart is nothing but, if you take your heart out of your chest, it's not shaped like a heart. It's not even connected. It is a helix. You can unwrap it. It looks like a DNA spiral. It spirals just like the spiral of life, just like the flower of life. So you can basically take your heart out of your chest and unfold it because it naturally spirals like that helix. So it's another center that you're channeling. That's where your soul is in your body. Your spirit energy is coming from your stomach, and then it gets here and becomes mental in the mind. That's your 3rd brain center.
Hey, you made me think about another question before we go to the next clip. And that now that I think about everything you just said, it's different types of pain. So you got a pains where you get heartbroken, right? Say if like you was in love with somebody and then they go out and do something crazy and then they break your heart. That's a different type of pain from being shot or stabbed. Like I was watching this show the other day. But it's just as real. Go ahead. You want to go ahead on it?
No, you go ahead. I was just saying that pain though is just as real as the same pain. It is
the same.
Just as real as being shot.
Yeah. It feel like, to me, the broken heart feel worse than being shot, because I'd have been both. I'd have been shot for real and broken heart a couple of times. The broken heart, it's a hard. At least when you get shot, once they patch you up and then give you some pain pills, you'll be all right. But when you get heartbroken, you can't take no pain pills for that. You can. Some people do. Some people go put the gun to their dome and get on to the other side.
Drugs,
but
right?
Yeah, because of the drugs, yeah, right. But what I meant to say is we know that with the nervous system, right? So the pain is connected with the nervous system, and it's connected to the heart. So my question is, and it's a mechanism that the brain is the one that tell you to feel certain ways, like your heart, like because that everything you say it makes so much sense because your heart can feel a certain way, and then in your brain that'll trigger how you feel, like it can take you down your consonants that can fall because of how your heart get broken and feel, and it can make you do stuff that's why a lot of people get killed, go kill the other person because their heart triggered their brain and their brain just couldn't trigger the pain. It can't explain the pain. Well, now this is my question because we know that the nervous system sends signals to the brain and it opens up mail and says, "Hey, you hurt." Because when I got shot, I didn't even know I was shot until my brothers or until somebody said, "Hey, man, look, you bleeding out on the leg," And so you ever been like? That's my question. You ever been like bleeding and then you ain't even know you was bleeding till somebody said, "Hey, man, you bleeding right there." It's like a signal. It's like you don't really respond. Like it's like
Your senses.
you go in on
it's the five senses.
Yeah.
Once your five senses get that, once your brain picks it up, then that's when you can. It tells your nervous system to feel a certain way. But it's the five senses that you need. So when your eyes see the blood, it sends the signal down to your stomach where all your nerve centers meet. And then you start to feel that pain. But until you see it, until it filters through the five senses, you won't even feel the pain. That's why pain and fear, those two things are completely manageable. You can control those things 100%.
Would you say that? Would you say pain can alter your DNA? Pain? Because like you said, that old boy broke his leg. And then his son had that same weak spot. It broke his leg in that spot. And trauma is really a pain. Trauma, you say, because through how they did our ancestors, like pulling somebody out of their house, out of their dead sleep at 2:00 in the morning to hang them in front of their family is man, that's devastating. That's a pain.
The way pain manifests. The pain manifests generationally as fear. If your ancestors felt pain, it will manifest in you as fear.
Yeah.
Anything that they physically felt, it becomes a fear base in you. So that's why they say everything you want is on the other side of fear. That's why fear, if you can rid yourself, there's only two emotions. There are only two emotions: love, the heart, and fear. And fear is tied to pain. Those are the only two emotions that exist. Everything else is in the middle spectrum. People say it's love and hate. It's not love and hate, it's love and fear.
That's right.
Because if they can get you to fear something, they can control you.
That's right. That's right. And so it's a way you could. So how do you get rid of that pain? How do we get rid of that pain that our ancestors endured? And they endured it, they survived, and they made it to now because we still here. But how do we get rid of the fear in our DNA and our mitochondrial DNA? Because I believe that's one of the reasons the youngsters is shooting at each other because they in fear that they in fear. Yeah. What do you think?
So nervous system management. Emotional intelligence, learning how to manage the nervous system and basically cool down your nervous system. Because they say when you get mad, you get hot, you feel heat. That's that same fire that Doc was talking about. That's that same internal fire so learning how to breathing, breath work, the air, oxygen is what smothers the fire. It's the same concept. So teaching emotional intelligence and learning how to breathe, breath work is going to be super important for not only managing pain, but fear as well. Because that's the first thing that starts. That's where anger comes from. Anger is a fear-based emotion. And so if you don't know how to balance your nervous system and keep your emotions in check at all times, somebody can come and light your fire anytime. And at the moment that fire is lit, you make a stupid decision, you can ruin your entire life with one decision just from the heat of the moment. They say the heat of the moment is that fire again.
All right, let's roll that beautiful bean footage. We got more clips. Hey, everybody that's coming in, some people said they late. Hey man, you late. You missed a lot. You got to go back and roll it back. We cracking heads and twisted caps. This is the activation of the mitochondrial DNA. We pretty much going in context here. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button. We got more clips. Let's roll them clips.
What makes boys and girls different? It can be a really complicated question, but when it comes down to biological sex in humans, the difference is in the Y chromosome. We know that the Y chromosome is important, but scientists also know that it's been shrinking in size over millions of years, and some even think it might eventually disappear. But recent studies on the Y chromosome in a lot of mammals suggest that it has more important genes, besides the ones that contribute to maleness. Chromosomes are bundles of DNA and other stuff that are stored in the nucleus of your cells. Most people have 23 pairs of chromosomes, one set from mom and one set from dad. 22 of these pairs look the same in all humans, but the last pair is known as the sex chromosomes, X and Y. Generally, biological females have 2 X chromosomes, and biological males have 1 X and 1 Y. The Y chromosome is less than half the size of the X, and it contains way fewer functional genes. But it wasn't always this way. Hundreds of millions of years ago, the X and Y chromosomes of our human ancestors were the same size, and they could swap genetic information with each other through a process called genetic recombination. Recombination helps us evolve over time and protects against potentially dangerous mutations in our genes. But at some point, the X and Y chromosomes became so different that they lost most of their ability to recombine. So any mutations that changed or deleted part of the Y chromosome couldn't really be fixed, and it kept shrinking over millions of generations. Today, in humans, the Y chromosome that men are carrying around with them has only 3% of the functional genes it once did. But fear not, Y-havers. Many researchers think that this decay seems to have leveled off in most mammals, including humans, over the past 25 million years or so. For example, 2 studies in 2014, one by MIT researchers and one by Swiss scientists, analyzed Y chromosomes across 8 to 15 mammalian species. As expected, they found some of the same sex-determining genes, like the SRY gene, which helps develop all those male reproductive bits, but they also found genes conserved across Y chromosomes in many species that didn't have to do with maleness. These are regulatory genes, genes that regulate the expression of other genes by basically turning them on and off. While most genes on sex chromosomes only need 1 copy to function normally, scientists think some important regulatory genes require pairs. So in females, each X chromosome has 1/2 of a pair of regulatory genes, and in males there's 1 gene on the X and the paired one is on the Y. So the scientists think that a lot of Y chromosome genes work with the genes on the X chromosome to help regulate other genes that shape healthy human development. But lots more research needs to be done to figure out which pairs of genes affect which parts of development. No matter what though, it seems that the Y chromosome isn't...
Hey, that bag, what you said about the that the Y is getting smaller than the X. Let me roll this one more clip right here, then we can get into it.
So the Y chromosome is a mutation. It didn't initially exist. It came to be by way of evolution because everything is just mama expressing herself in different versions. So the Y chromosome is a mutation of the X based on the trauma that is stored in the womb, because the Y chromosome lacks information. The X houses thousands more genetic data than the Y chromosome. So that lack, that is the Y chromosome, gets to where it is based on the trauma or the lack that is stored in mama's womb. Masculinity is an illusion because it is just a state of being. That's what makes gender fluid, because gender is just an expression. Femininity does not make you expressly female. Masculinity does not make you expressly male. The masculine realm is just the physical body. It is the physical manifestation of the spirit, because we are spirits first having a physical experience. So with that being said, having a physical body puts you in, this is how your ego expresses itself. Your ego is the mask for your divine feminine. Divine femininity is the spirit body that exists beyond the physical realm, which is why we call it metaphysics. Meta meaning beyond. So when you get to masculinity is masked femininity. It is masked by way of the ego. The ego is the protector. That is why we see masculinity as being strictly male, because males were the guardians of the galaxy. The males were the law enforcement, because the law is God, and God is the womb, the cosmos. Now, being that we are in physical bodies and we are represented by the ego is a play on the word echo. Echo meaning it echoes back to you or reveals what your spirit wants to express. So bringing it back to masculinity, as I said in my video on masculinity being an illusion, which is pinned at the top, masculine is the Ma school line. So the matrix is the architecture of the universe. It is nothing but a school. The Ma school Lin rim is, like we go to colleges and universities, the masculine rim, which is the physical rim, the third dimension, is just a big ass university. So when she forgets certain aspects of herself, or when she gets so disconnected from the source of who she is, then the X chromosome that gets passed down through the father and herself, because the illusion is that the male, the father, passes down a Y and the mother passes down the X to give us males. That is not true, because every fetus is female at the point of conception. So that means that the father actually passes down his X that he gets from his mother, and she passes down her X. However, if there are certain lessons that need to be learned, if there is certain karmic debt that needs to be paid, that X chromosome will mutate into the Y, and then that's how the fetus turns male. Because the male's purpose is to deliver the keys to unlocking her memories, and that is why we call him the male. So the issues that we are having in the gender wars and our relations between men and women, or even if we want to specify in our community, black men and black women, the disconnect that we have between each other is a reflection of the mother. It is a reflection of the work that needs to be done within the womb in order to transmute him as well, because he is just mirroring. Remember, the ego is the false light. The false light is indicative of the masculine rim. The masculine rim is a reflection of the false light, the ego. All of that goes hand in hand. It is mirroring what the spirit needs to experience in order to ascend. So everything that they are doing that we think is being done to us is being done for us, so that we can see and return to the natural state of authenticity that we need to be in. In biblical terms, this is what they consider the rapture. The rapture meaning the coming of the Christ. Jesus Christ's return is symbolic to enlightenment. It's symbolic to consciousness transcending to higher states of dimension. When we talk about the new earth versus the old earth, this is how this happens. Everything, there has to be chaos in order for there to be order, in order for us to restore the natural order, which is the cosmic feminine law of the universe. So the trauma that you experience through your unhealthy relationships, or through your generational dysfunction or familial dysfunction, is actually a direct reflection of the work that you need to do to reach a state of Christ consciousness within yourself. Everything that you experience, all the toxicity, all the trauma bonding, the H's attachment, all of that is you, the work that you need to do in order to reach higher heights of yourself, in order to complete the mission. So the original
she gonna go by talk about Christ consciousness. We could get into that. But hey, you got anything you want to add lib on that, man? She was cracking heads. She said the male is the delivery guy.
That was
that was twisted cap.
That was so deep. She hit it right on the head. But even to take it a step further from what she's saying, and that was kind of like what I was hitting on when we're talking about the creation of the male and women only being able to reproduce themselves. And we got to a point where we didn't want to do the heavy lifting and the physical labor. So we basically grafted another version of ourselves, which became masculine. But to what she was saying is just a mirror back to the feminine. That's why narcissism and patriarchy they go hand in hand. That innate hate, dislike for the woman, it's really just like the shadow self, all of the shadow work that women grafted away for themselves, all the negative energy coming back to like now rule us and dominate us and take it. So that's why the oppression of women and the ego go hand in hand. That's why patriarchy exists in itself. It is just the shadow version. Masculinity is not a real thing. It does not exist. Alpha male, this whole thing, they have male men, human men into masculinity and alpha men, that doesn't exist anywhere else. In nature, alpha animals exist. In the human species, that's not a thing. That's not even a thing. You know, when we talking about Darwinism and survival of the fittest, and I mean, that's a bunch of crap. These people was just making up stuff. Okay? There's no such thing as masculine males. How can there be such thing as masculinity when a male is a mutation of a female? Like, so to come up with this whole new terminology for something that used to be a female, she hit it right on the head when she said men don't even contribute to the sex, because all the sexes are female in the womb. And then it's only when you have that cycle of karmic debt or some sort of generational trauma that causes a gene expression to change, and then you get a male child. Well, it's just showing the mother ancestrally where she needs to fix these things. That's why you see a lot of women coddle their sons, you know, baby their boy, because really it's just their ego. In the Black community, they say the man is propped up. The women are the reason why these men are the way they are, because they were with single moms. That's just because the mom is refusing to face her generational trauma. And so she, instead of making him into what he needs to be to go out into the world, she's going to coddle him and cripple him and basically stroke her own ego through her baby boy instead of healing that. And it is backwards for how they treat their daughters. That clip was, I mean, she unloaded a full clip there. She says so much with that.
Yeah, she said a lot.
But she talks a lot about the spiritual narcissism and how masculinity is rooted in that, and patriarchy is rooted in those things, and those being the shadow expression of a divine feminine. That's all they are. There's the shadow version of divine feminine, the oppression of women. We can even take that back to the study of the womb and the way they used to do our women when they would, you know, do experiments on them and try to figure out why do men need to try to figure out how the woman's body works? Like, that just, you know, every medicine that is made is only tested on men. Every medicine that's on the shelf that's ever been in existence that they give to us has only ever been tested on men. They don't even care how it works on us.
Man.
So that is an innate hate, but it's just you dealing within the same energy that is in your shadow self. And so until women can come to terms with, that's why I say women got to raise their standards. If women raise their standards, all the problems that they have with men will go away. You wouldn't have women complaining about men if they just raised their standards, because what they're seeing is a mirror of what they're projecting. If you want better men, then raise your standards. Men are by nature going to perform for women. You can look in nature, when it's time to mate, every male species is going to perform in order to pass his genes on and to leave a legacy. He has to impress the woman. He has to perform for her. He has to build things. He has to do things. So men are naturally in nature going to do that. Women have the bar on the floor to where they don't even make them perform anymore to be able to. Everybody ain't supposed to be able to reproduce. Everybody ain't supposed to have a legacy. Women are the people that draw that line and decide who gets to reproduce, who gets to leave a legacy here. So if they don't have any standards for the requirements to produce a legacy, to leave a legacy, then that means that's what they're saying. God just making anybody out here. You ever seen a person, you just like, man, God just be making anybody. You talking about his mama because she have no standards.
Yeah. She married. She got with a goon and a gobbler, man. She got with a goon and a gobbler. Hey, this is my next question because I thought about something, and like everybody in the crowd, everybody got their own perspective. Because some people got some guys that they against that the matriarch rising, the woman being God, the black woman is God. They against that. So it's all good though. Everybody got there. But this is my next question. Because when I thought when you was just talking and everything that we went over so far, I thought about breastfeeding. How important, because we see in our ancient culture a lot of sculptures where the Queen Mother or the throne seat, Inanna, Hathor, all these people breastfeeding, and we know that through studying breast milk, the DNA or the information from the mother, especially like the antibiotics, the information, because like the white blood cells in the body create antibiotics to different diseases that come in the body, and the mother's DNA stored it, and then it goes into the breast milk and transfer to the baby. So the baby really don't need all those immunity shots that they be giving them because it's in the breast milk, right? So how important? This is my question, because how important is the breast milk? Because I noticed when they drink the milk at the school, they nose be running. That's why I stop my son from drinking the milk at the school, because his nose started running every when he drinking all this cow milk. And he was breastfed though. Both of my boys was breastfed. But how important is breastfeeding versus feeding your child this cow milk? And the science of breastfeeding. Could you go in on that a little bit?
Yeah. And so back to your comment that you said some people in the chat had different opinions, and that guys that are against the rise of the matriarch, then those are the men that you could tell weren't breastfed. They lacking. You could tell that, Tell me you wasn't breastfed without telling me you wasn't breastfed. That you in the comment section right now talking about, oh, women ain't da da da. You on the internet in the comment section having gender war debates with women. Okay, your mother didn't love you enough to help you develop your brain. Your brain being your first brain in your stomach, your immune system. Your immune system. So how you fight off disease, how you fight everything. The emotional intelligence, like the breast milk is the mitochondrial milk, the milk of the earth. You can even see like those ancient statues of like the reptilians. You will see a reptilian mother showing you how to treat the baby boy. All right, this is the shadow side of the woman, right? So he is not as emotionally in tune and emotionally intelligent as the woman. That's why they say, they say women are emotional. They just project that back on the women. It's really men who turn off their emotions. Women think with if women are emotional, that means we're thinking with our sixth sense. We have all our senses. Because you don't have just 5 senses. You have all of them. So you're telling me that men are logically telling each other to turn off. Don't be a crybaby. Don't be a pussy. Don't act like, you know what I'm saying? When they tell you how they train you up from a little boy not to feel, not to express your emotions. These are people that weren't breastfed, clearly, because your emotional intelligence is tied into your nervous system, and your nervous system is literally your first brain. You're stuck in arrested development. You're stuck in a baby boy. So you can literally see these reptilian statues going back, like you said, every single deity, where you can see the Black Madonna and child. There, you notice it's never a woman. It's never her breastfeeding a woman. She always got baby boy on the boob, because he needs so much nurturing and care, because he is stuck in arrested development. He is not as strong as the female. He is not as emotionally intelligent as the female. He needs extra nutrients to be able to operate in his fullness, to reach his full potential. In order to be able to even be on the same level as the female, he has to be nurtured separately, specially longer, to be able to develop all of these centers that women naturally have in the body.
Right, and they pass it through the breast milk. That's why they try to
the colostrum, 100%.
So, and that's why they created Similacs and they add small metals to the Similacs, and they don't want you to feed them the breast milk. They want to cut off that connection and feed you the breast milk. Feed you the Similacs and these other formulas that they got. It's a formula.
Yeah,
they telling you what it is.
You got to be a special kind of man to if you wasn't breastfed by your mother, you are lacking so much as a you are stuck in an arrested development because you didn't the core nurturing. Like it is the innate thing that women the root cause of it. Is that lack of love and care from your mother to develop you properly, to give you all the nutrients that you needed to be a functional person out here, to be a functional adult out here. So you have a bunch of baby boys stuck in a arrested development mentally because they didn't get the full nutrients. And then then she gonna vaccinate the jit. Then she gonna send the jit to school, kindergarten. That's hell when he's 5 years old. You know what I'm saying? And then not only that, she gonna send him to school of the colonizers. They're women because they're depriving him of the nutrients that he needs to develop. Now you're going to deprive him mentally as well by now allowing him to be educated by the retarded version of the original woman, the mutated monster version. So a lot of the problems that we do see, especially within our community, vaccines, breast milk, all of those things are pivotal to the development and raising of strong men, healthy men, educated men, spiritually in tune men, emotionally intelligent men. All of that stems back from what you were able to receive or not receive from your mother.
That's a study that they did that shows that a lot of the women that don't breastfeed, some of them end up with breast cancer because of the milk. It calcifies, I guess, in the breast. Yeah, could you go in on that? Because it's a lot of
that's
people
knowledge. That's information that she didn't pass on.
And it hardens.
That is knowledge. Basically, it gets hard. Yep. You're lacking. You're not even allowing your genes to express themselves properly. Not only that, you're not passing on vital genetic information. Think about how you're thwarting your own DNA by not passing that genetic material on to the person that your body went through this whole process to give it to. So your body went through this 9-month cycle just to be able to produce this milk to give this information to the next generation, and then you stop that process. It will cause you to go to develop into some sort of cancers or some sort of injury to yourself because you refuse to pass on that information. And so that's why I'm glad it's a thing now. It used to be a thing in our community where our women didn't breastfeed, but now most of the women that I know, most of the women in my circle, I'm like, it's a norm for our women now.
Yeah.
So at least we are catching up there. Yeah. Most women give birth and it's just natural for us to breastfeed now.
Yeah, I think so. Like a lot of the young, even if they got to pump it out and then have it, on standby,
stored in the refrigerator or the freezer.
Yeah, they freeze it. Yeah. Let me run this next clip. We got some more clips.
The only way to activate the dormant DNA cells in the brain is to bring the cerebrospinal fluid up from the base of your spine to the optic thalamus. It is said when the fluid makes contact with your pineal gland, you will activate your third eye and illuminate your crown chakra. What this means is you now have an intensified aura, which is a powerful energy biofield that is located both in and around your body, which protects you from negative energies such as hate and fear and the way other people may project upon you. You will not easily be brought down by other people's lower vibrations. Your electromagnetic field is a shield. This is what it means in the Bible to wear the armor of God. When there is no hate, anger, or fear in your heart and love is present, it will radiate and create an impenetrable torus field. Therefore, you are protected everywhere you go with the Holy Spirit as long as you are forgiving, loving, and accepting and content with your life. So treat others the way you want to be treated. You just have to be a kind soul, and that way you don't get any bad karma. And that's why it's a really good saying that you can run from the cops, but you cannot run from the energy. I'm going to have to go over it in my next video, but there's a reason why they shut down the right hemisphere part of the brain. So now we're no longer fighting bodies of government. We're fighting groups of consciousness that exist because of the system.
When we're talking about X and Y chromosomes, you're talking about a contract. You're talking about a set of instructions. I need this to be made clear because we're not recognizing that you are a walking set of laws. You are made up of many different contracts. And when you're talking about DNA, X chromosomes, Y chromosomes, you're talking about a contract. And also when you're talking about the mitochondrial DNA, that is also a contract. I told you I'm going deep, so I need you all to pay attention. Because the other thing that I want you to keep in mind as you watch this session, as is within, so is without. As is without, so is within. As is above, so is below. All right, I need you to keep that in mind, because when I talk about how somebody put the mitochondria to sleep, you're going to understand, as especially humans and melanated people, we have been put to sleep. Okay? As is within, so is without. Watch this now. Here you have all of these stem cells, or actually cells that go in here, and then they become stem cells. Because what happens is the mitochondria, she continues to try to what we call mitosis. And we're going to go through the difference between mitosis and meiosis. But what she does is she continues to perform mitosis, but at some point she falls asleep. In our cells, we're going to have 23 chromosomes from the mother and 23 from the father, which total 46 chromosomes in our cells. Okay? And let's be clear. When they first start to form, there's 23 chromosomes coming from the female, and they are all feminine. They're all X's. And then there's 23 chromosomes coming from the male, and they are all X's. There is no such thing as a male sperm. All of them are X's, and they better be X's, and you're going to find out why they better be X's. So now you've got, we're going to have 46 chromosomes in our cells. But going back to this image here, once these cells start to go into a coma and the mitochondria continues to try to produce, and these cells end up with 92 chromosomes in them. As opposed to 46, these stem cells now have 92 chromosomes in them, and they become considered mother cells. They're females, all of them, regardless. By the way, this fetus right here is female, always. The male was originally a female. I need this to be understood, and I hope y'all still with me. Okay, so now, again, I just want to preface this. This session is coming from the question that was asked to me. So how do you give birth without a man? Said in idiot terms. And again, I can't give you this information in idiot terms. You cannot gain access to your powers if you have no knowledge. So you can't be an idiot with power.
Man himself was made in the image and likeness of a woman. And how can I back this up with science? Women consist of two X chromosomes, right? Two X chromosomes. A man consists of a Y and an X chromosome. The Y chromosome is a degenerate version of an X chromosome, meaning the woman by default is the prototype. And you men are losing because you're mistreating God's daughters. God don't play about his daughters whatsoever. And I'm going to tell you this, Bank, not to cut you off.
Hey, so look, listen to this. So, God was, if we was made in the image of God, and then when that sperm goes over, if it's a really, both of them are X into a certain point, because they go say, okay, we're gonna tell the gender after a certain amount of weeks. It takes a whole bunch of weeks.
The first week into the second trimester.
Yeah. So, what is your take on that? Because God made in the image of God, and after his likeness, it seemed like the X chromosome is the was producing the God. The X chromosome make the gods. It's like what Doc said. If Jesus is God, who is Mary? If Jesus is God, and so mother must be the creator. Mary must be the creator of God. She must be the God creator. Go ahead. Could you go in on that part?
Not only that, so the way our society teaches everything backwards. They say the fastest sperm is the one that fertilizes the egg, and that whatever, that's completely untrue. There hasn't been a sperm fast enough to get to an egg that didn't open up and capture a sperm. Sperms are captured by the eggs. The eggs, it ain't the fastest sperm swims to the egg. Those sperm swim right past the egg, and the egg selects which one it wants to capture. So the feminine is always in control and choosing the masculine that they want. That's why right now they're trying to develop technology like wheelchairs for sperm. So now handicapped sperm can have like, why would you want to even be able to give wheelchair to sperm that can't even swim fast enough to compete to get near the egg for it to capture it? But
that's crazy.
It is crazy. Like, it was crazy when I saw it. I was like, handicapped sperm now? Like, why would y'all even want to give that a chance to make it so we can see what that's like out here? But yeah, so the female has to be the original prototype. It's and the way she tried to explain what she said, I can't explain it to you the way an idiot, the way a child could do it, or easy enough for a 5-year-old to understand it. But it is, you can explain it easy enough for a 5-year-old to understand just looking at the alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, X, T, U, V, W, X, Y.
So X comes first.
The X comes before Y in the alphabet. That's simple enough for a 5-year-old to understand it.
Yeah.
When you teach your children the alphabet, you teach them that X comes before the Y. You ain't never taught your kids the alphabet and was like, Y, X, Z, unless you was an idiot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is simple enough for a 5-year-old to understand it. It's telling you right there, genetically, scientifically, what other way do you need it? Alphabetically.
Yeah. So like, it's most people out here, they rather it's been a long time, man, but they believe they want to go with the religious perspective versus science. Science is facts. Science is the truth. But the religion is I guess a social paradigm created to promote this because they got a lot of it's to promote the masculinity. It's like we say, there ain't no such thing really at this point. That's a creative word to create a paradigm where you got to be macho.
Create the system, uphold the system of patriarchy. Absolutely, that's all it is.
Yeah. So we think that. Let me roll some more clips. We got everybody. We get close to that time. Hey, everybody, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. We got a lot of people in here, right? Hit that subscribe button, hit that like, y'all.
Now let's break this down real simple for you. The X chromosome is the original blueprint for all human life. For all human existence, everybody started off with a default XX chromosome blueprint. Now the X chromosome is actually a lot older than the Y chromosome. It predates the Y chromosome. It was here first. It's a lot more powerful, it's a lot more larger, and it contains over 1,000 genes, where the Y chromosome is a smaller gene, it's weaker, it's less powerful and less impactful, and it only contains fewer than 100 genes. But here's the kicker. The kicker is that the X came first. The Y is an adaptation or evolution of the XX chromosome. Every male that you see out here on the planet is an evolution or adaptation of the woman. That's why it's called womb man. The man comes out of the woman, not a woman coming out of the rib of a man. That doesn't make sense biologically. Biologically, at one point in time, there were no men. There only existed woman. There only existed the X chromosome. So when people say God is a man, or God, or they say he, our Father in heaven, how? When the XY chromosome didn't even exist. There was only the XX. So with that being said, God couldn't be a man. The source or origin point of our whole existence, of all human reality, of all human life, couldn't have been a man, because man comes from woman, right? The man didn't even exist yet. It came after the X chromosome. So when you look at source, or you talk about origin, source and origin means mother. Mother is the source or origin point of our reality. God is a woman. Reflected light from the all seeing I 3. I love myself.
Hey, look, for the people that's religious, the religious even secretly know all of this information. They secretly know about the divine feminine, the Knights of Templar. That's why the church exiled them because they were secretly worshiping the divine feminine. You can go look all this up. And secretly, the Pope, when he get up in the morning, every morning he got to walk through a chamber where the Black Madonna is breastfeeding the mother and child, and he bow and kisses. Yeah, the black they got it over here in Vatican, man. They doing it. I can pull the videos up for you. Yeah, but they all worship the divine feminine in secret. But they promote the masculinity in public. They promote, this Jesus or he, God, our Father. They promote this in public, but behind the scenes, they're bowing to the Black Madonna. Every day they bow to the woman secretly. I'm telling you, man. So this is my question: what is up with it? Like, because like I say, like you said earlier in the class. You said that there was some kind of contract made with the moon, and I believe that because I think that to be true based on all of what I come to know, based on what Enlil said in the beginning in Genesis, how you're going to be cursed, have birth pains, and this and that when you have kids, because it seemed like at one point they said the women wasn't even having birth pains; they were just popping kids out.
It was just squatting and popping. You just squat and the baby come out naturally. Gravity takes hold of it. You need to, everything is backwards now. Even the design of the church will tell you the truth. That's why there's an aisle in a church that you walk down the aisle and the altar is exalted at the end of that aisle. It is mimicking sperm going up to the egg, but then they replace that egg with a pastor.
Yeah.
That you meet at the end of the aisle when you go up to the altar. Think about you taking an offering up there to the altar. You got to walk down the aisle, and then when you get to the aisle, it flowers out and blooms out, and then
that's right.
The preacher is up on and exalted. He exalted himself. He replaced the woman, and they put a man up there.
Yeah. And they even got a scripture in the New Testament where Paul comes in and says that a woman shouldn't be up speaking nothing. You know what I'm saying? She got to sit down and do as she told. In Christianity, and then you got women preachers up preaching out of that same book, and I'm saying, damn, ain't that a contradiction? Paul saying that you need to shut up and sit down and mind your business.
Talk in the church, right?
Yeah, and then it's a woman pastor. So my granddaddy, he had a problem with it because he had a problem with women pastors because of that verse in the New Testament. About the woman got to stay, and then even Islam got similar, guidelines about women staying in their place. They even can slap their woman around in some verses if they get out of line in Islam. So, what is your take on that? Like religion, it seemed like religion brought this: hey, trap the woman, control the woman, put her in her place. She's a cooker and a server type of thing. Yeah, versus. Hey, if you go and study our ancient Egyptian culture, the woman was the God. Woman was God. The Black woman was God. So could you go in on that? Yeah, women.
It's just arrested development. It is the babies that weren't breastfed. We can go back to that. They stuck in arrested development. So of course they're upside down and backwards themselves. They weren't nurtured properly. The religion, I mean, I have a hard time sympathizing for people who are still trapped in that mental prison. You mentioned Islam. That's crazy because traditional Islam, like in Islamic countries and things, in their religion, it tells them that a girl becomes a woman at whatever age she gets a period and she is fit to be wed. And girls get their periods, some as young as 5 years old. And that's somebody's wife in Islam. I can't give you any kind of logic behind that. I can't even, that's not even something that I can comprehend within myself and to even try to explain. There is no justification for that. So if you are simple-minded enough to adhere to religions that tell you a girl as young as 5 can be a wife and that's a woman to you, there really ain't nothing we could talk about. But we see a lot of that happening now. So we see the Epstein and all of these things that are happening now. Religion allows all of that. Religion condones all of that. So to be adherent to those systems, knowing that they condone this, then that lets you know that those things are devoid of any sort of character, morals, and values, the things that they tell you that they're in place to uphold. It is a stark contradiction. So anybody that can read or subscribe to that information, but then say they're a morally or a just person is crazy. That's why I say a Christian and a religious person, they're the easiest people to manipulate. They're the easiest people to control. You can take a religious person and you can basically you can get all resources out of them, financially, emotionally, spiritually. You can use them, and that's what the church is doing. That's what these houses are doing, because they are just food. They are sheep led to slaughter. If your religion tells you that you can marry somebody at 5 years old and you be like, okay, this is the God that I'm rocking with, guillotine, firing squad for these niggas immediately.
Right. Especially over here. We ain't going for it no more.
Off with your head.
Yeah.
There is no, I don't want to have a conversation with you. I'm not trying to justify. Are we going to sit here and try to justify that? You subscribe to Islam and they say you can marry a 5-year-old and that's a woman to you? And you want me to try to sit and rationalize and have we're going to have a think piece and a debate with that's like, she 5, she bleeds, she's ripe, she's fertile. Get out of here. Off with your head.
And some some of the Hebrew cults go with the same move.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the Mormons the same way. I mean, all religions have that in there. But that's the point of religion in itself. Religion condones and condemns everything. Everything is condoned and condemned. It is the biggest contradiction on earth. Lied, and people in the Bible were sleeping with their own daughters.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have we trying to converse with these people to make sense out of. They can't make sense out of nothing. You can't make sense out of what can you tell me about anything? If you read the Bible and you adhere to that, and it's like, well, that was the Old Testament, this is the New Testament, and Jesus died and took that. Get out of here.
Yeah. It's a
you're mentally washed.
Yeah.
Something's not clicking. Something's not registering up here. If you can't extract the science from it, Bible, biblioheliotext, the book of the sun, it's astrology. If you're going to stick to a story and all these metaphors that's wrapped up into it, that is supposed to be telling you how to righteously get back to a certain level of consciousness. You mentioned it earlier, Christ consciousness.
Yeah.
But you got to take all of the BS that comes along with it, then that just lets me know you're stuck in arrested development. You can't think for yourself. You have no critical thinking. Your critical thinking isn't activated at all. Your brain is developed under, immaturely. You're stuck 21 years old and you're arrested. Your development is arrested.
Yeah. It's a I've been watching on that media. I said, man, you say about they marry young girls. This dude married an 11-year-old over there overseas. Is it Muslim? And he made love to her and tore her apart and killed the girl. The girl bled to death. He killed the girl, man. I said, these people over here, like, ain't nobody stopping it, over there.
Right, because their religion condones that.
Right.
And so that's something that I can't even comprehend. But we see that happening here in the same way, and we see nothing being done about it here as well. But there is a law in every single country in the world that has an age restriction on men marrying young girls. There isn't a law on the books nowhere that prohibits women from marrying young boys. But that lets you know the law exists for men in itself. If the age of consent is 8, men will say, well, the law says I can marry an 8-year-old. If they lower the age of consent to 5, men would be like, well, the law says I can marry a 5-year-old. What is that? What is that? I can't even try to make sense of that.
It's lunatic.
So it's got to be some sort of arrested development. It has to be some sort of innate hate for women, because there's no way there's no way you can be attracted to an 11-year-old. There's no way, in my mind. You see
Yeah, right.
you're a grown man and you see an 11-year-old as fertile and
Yeah,
supple and attractive.
yeah. It's they said somebody said that shout out that boy Maurice Miller. He said in Tennessee the age is still 13.
Yeah,
That's
that's
crazy.
crazy. That is crazy.
Yeah.
So there's a law on the book in every state in America that tells men what age they are allowed to date women. And then at any point, if they lower it, the men will be right there saying, hey, the law says I can do it. It's the same way like scripture and law, that like they go hand in hand. And so the same way scripture is there as a way to allow men to be able to abuse women, the law does the same thing. But of course, who makes the laws? Religious men.
Yeah, yeah. See, all that's about to get ready. All this shit is going down now. That's why it's good to talk about it.
Yeah, that's why
Let's roll a couple more.
the stuff that's going on with Meg and all the stuff where people talk about Meg Thee Stallion and her relationship and on the internet. And I'm like, I haven't seen a single think piece about the singer David, D for David, or D for D, whatever his name is, the guy that is now on trial for killing his 14-year-old girlfriend, and he was 22. And he had been talking to her since she was 11. And so, yeah, he was talking to her since she was 11 years old. He had been in a relationship with her, took her away from her parents, and then eventually ended up killing her. But everybody around him knew that he was dating 11 and 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
And no one did anything to stop it. And there's video and audio of him, even like his managers and his best friend on live stream with him asking him, hey, man, you still dating a minor? How can you, as a man, hang around with another man who you know is dating an 11-year-old and you not guillotine this nigga?
Yeah, right.
It's the same concept. If you hang around 5 broke people, you the 5th one. If you hang around 4 pedophiles, you the 5th one, even if you ain't done nothing.
Yeah.
If your homies can, and you condone that, and you don't check them, you are them.
Yeah.
That's
you all
the
what
same
you
way
hang
with
around,
religion.
birds of a feather flock together, all it.
Birds of a feather flock together, right? There's no way you're going to be condoning. It's the same with the religious mind. It's the same way with these religions. That's why you see so much of that corruption and the pedophilia in the churches as well, and them touching not only just girls, abusing boys too.
Yeah, it's in the religion.
And then they all have deacons around them, and they have other people around them circle jerking these ideologies and never correcting it. That's why it's the biggest joke in the world to me.
Let's roll some more clips. We gotta get ready to get up out here. Let's roll some more clips. We got some
AO0Y DNA haplogroup debunks the traditional out of Africa theory. Albert Perry's DNA debunks the
many years ago, 560 million years ago, to be exact, almost. We were a race of beings. We did not start on this planet. We did not come from apes. We came from a level of higher evolution. And we had a genetic code that had 12 strands of DNA activated within it. That 12-strand pattern is called the silicate matrix. And the silicate matrix still remains as a dormant potential within the humans of today. That's what these classes are about. We have the abilities within us, if we can understand what the process of DNA evolution and how that applies to our consciousness, if we can understand this process, we can bring those potentials of 12 strands of DNA back into activation. Now, we have 2 identified strands, as far as our scientific community knows. And we attribute things, the genetic characteristics, eye color, hair color, disease sometimes, to genetic factors. There are levels of DNA structure that are even below that. There are base structures of DNA. And when we get into this, we're getting into something called chelantic morphogenetic science. It's the science of morphogenetic fields. Morphogenetic fields are the form-holding blueprints that create grids of electromagnetic energy upon which matter particles can compose themselves to form matter forms. So when we're dealing with our DNA, we are dealing with a level that's even below that, that is the morphogenetic field. In the course that we're going to do today, there was some very interesting new information given to me, and that's why I'm excited to present it to the people who've had the material from before, and I'm trying to figure out how to present it to the people who haven't, because it's the next level up. Very quickly speaking, in the silicate matrix, which we are trying to activate in our DNA through these classes, there are 12 strands of DNA. They are double heli. You have one magnetic heli and one electrical heli. So you have 12 of those. That's the basic structure. Most of them are dormant right now. Most of us on the planet right now have an accretion level, which is the DNA activation level, of between 3 and 3.5. Our scientists see one double helix. That is because there are particles that vibrate at a different angle of rotation and vibrate at a slower pulse than our particles in our perceptual field and the perceptual field of our instruments, and there are ones that vibrate higher. DNA is stacked in an overlay form, and you will.
Hey, based on what she's saying, man, like me, I ain't gotta watch the whole video because I'm a type of person. But like, so this is my question, because everything's a vibration, and that the DNA, it's like a sympathy. Say like you got a whole orchestra of different instruments playing, and they playing on a rhythm, or they playing some kind of a piece, Beethoven, whatever it be. It seems like the DNA is the same thing. It's a different instruments, because one instrument generates your hair color, one generates your eye colors, birthmarks, even like my dad. He helped when he walked, he hold his head up like that a lot. So even me and my boys and my brother do the same thing when we walk there, because it's like it's like, damn, your dad walk like that, and I walk like that too. Like when I'm walking, I hold my head up. And my dad always trained us to do that. So it's like his dad trained him to do that. It was in his DNA. But naturally, like I naturally do it because my dad did it. But my question is the DNA sympathy? Like how many different aspects of the DNA is working at one time to generate this being? Because like they said back, that it's really a contract. Your dad gives 23, the mother gives 23. That's a contract between. So a kid is like a contract between the two beings, right? Seems like to me. Could you go in on that, like the aspects of all that with the contract of the
the gene expression, the way you show up here in this matrix is determined by the ancestral DNA expression of both of your contributors, right? But then if the DNA is like a symphony, then your body is an instrument too. And your physical body is how you interpret the data that's within it, that is the DNA. And then your brains are connect you to the ether, your five senses, your intuition, your spirit. It houses the downloaded frequency of you in another plane here into this plane. So that DNA is like a computer code, right? And then your physical body is going to be the computer on how you survive in this matrix. And we know it's a matrix, and we know that it is a false reality and it's not real because everything is flipped upside down and backwards in reality. Your eyes, when the light hits your eyes and the light hits the back of your brain, it turns everything right side up. But we exist in a physical world where everything is flipped upside down and backwards. We are literally in a matrix. And then our eyes is what turns everything opposite side, right side up. So it's literally just a computer system that is coding that DNA, and then your five senses is what tells you how to express that DNA, how that DNA is going to show up. And the five senses are the extremities that are in touch with the physical world. Okay. So that's why you can have like family, everybody be in the same family, and they have the same downloaded information. They have the same energy and gene expression. However, once it filters through their system as far as the five senses goes into their brain and how they digest information, it can show up a little bit differently in everybody. Okay. So like to say you say your dad, your dad will walk with his head up. You may do it the exact same way, you may do it a little different than you, or how it gets passed down from generation to generation. It might change slightly, and that's based on survival. That's based on, okay, so if you do that and you're fine, you do it just like your dad, but your son might do it. He might go to school and get made fun of for walking that way, and then it causes him to shrink himself a little and change that gene expression. So the way your five senses interact with the physical world basically tells you how those genes will be expressed and passed on generationally. Your environment determines how those genes show up. So even though we are replicas of our ancestors, our environment is different from them. So it could potentially change how that information is coded in us and how it shows up in us and manifests through us, based on who we're around and how our senses perceive the world, what our survival instincts tell us. Is it safe for me to now continue to walk that way? Or the last time I did it, the kids threw rocks at me. I had to put my head down. You know what I'm saying? So fear, we'll go back to fear. How your emotions respond to different things can change your gene expression completely. So where fear would come in at. So love and fear are the only two things. That's why the more loving you are, the more loving your parents are, even back to nurturing and breast milk, the more loving your parents are, the better that gene expression is going to show up. That in that way, you're going to have confidence and the emotional intelligence to be yourself, no matter what environment you're in. Love will give you the energy. You can harness that love now to say, I'm confident. I don't care what. They can make fun of me all they want to. I'm going to be who my dad raised me to be. And I don't care if they make fun of me or whatever the case may be. So where love comes in and fear, they can change that gene expression as well.
That's fire. I got like 2 more clips in a row, then we'll do an ad lib on that, then we'll get out of here. Hey, everybody that's in here, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Be sure, everybody right now, we got like 600 people. Everybody send $5 to the to Lady Be Indigenous, the chief. Hook the chief up to the next time we come back on. Somebody send 10, somebody some 10s, and then somebody send some hundreds. If you got 100, somebody send 100. Right? Show some love to the chief. We're gonna have her back on. Roll 2 more clips and then we'll ad lib that. We'll get out of here.
You will know that black people with the darkest black skin are the only humans on earth to possess 100% of a human's DNA. Everybody else have some animal and beast in them. That's why their hair don't grow like our hair. That's why their hair grows straight like a monkey. It goes straight like a dog. It goes straight like a sheep. They don't nap, it don't kink, it don't kank. It don't kink, it don't kank. So if you think I'm lying, just study science. Science will prove that black skin, the darker your skin is, the blacker you are, that is evidence that you are 100% human. The lighter your skin are, you ain't 100%, baby.
Hold on. So that'll be the last question right there. About the hair texture in the DNA, because we know that the 9 ether, 8 ether, 7 ether, 6 ether, and the 6 ether is the lowest. It's more connected to the beast, the fur, where the 9 ether is more connected to mankind, man. They say one small step from the whole routine. So the hair is important. Also, the villas, that's the name of it, in the stomach. That when you eat. And they say you should chew your, my auntie used to say, you got to chew that food a certain amount of times to get it small to where your villas can absorb the food. And then I noticed when I started juicing and eating more smoothies, man, I feel more better. Like my body feel more richer because of juicing and drinking the smoothies. And it's like it's absorbing more of the nutrients versus a burger, which ain't got shit in it really. You just biting the burger and don't even chew it good. And it just sliding in there, So, what is your take on the hair textures in connection with the DNA and the chewing of the food? The chewing your food real good to get it, maybe even juicing. Cause I noticed a guy that when he started juicing, he looked like he lit up. like he looked at dark looking. His aura, it looked at dark looking at first, right? And then when he started fasting and juicing, his aura looked lit up. His body looked like his light was like he looked at more like the sun. He looked at like a sun. You know what I'm saying? Like the sun, like his energy was more lit up versus eating burgers and fried chicken every day and hot dogs.
Dead food. You're eating blood.
Uh-huh.
There is no you cannot cook blood out of your meat. So the fact that you even crave meat means you have a craving for blood.
Wow,
it ain't
that's
that
the
you like
truth.
the way chicken tastes, you like the way chicken blood tastes. You don't like the way a burger tastes, you like the way cow blood tastes. If you like the way a cow tasted, you would just eat a cow raw. Like animals that eat cow, you wouldn't need to cook it. Okay.
Right.
So you like blood. That's what you like. You like the different blood of different animals. But just back to originally what we were talking about, the food is gonna determine how the mitochondrial DNA shows up. Not only how it shows up, but how it's carried. So the more closer to nature that you align, the more your gene expression is gonna be healthier, be better in the way you express yourself. Okay. One thing that my grandma used to do back in the day is they didn't eat and drink at the same time.
Yeah, I don't do
They
that
were
either.
eating food. They were eating food, and then they would, have like a liquid dessert is what they would call like a liquid dinner, where maybe 30, 45 minutes after that, then they would drink some lemonade or some sweet tea or something like that. But they didn't do those two things simultaneously. And so there's got to be a reason why they implemented that into our culture to where we do. It's got to be something. Everything is upside down and backwards. So the fact that we eat and drink at the same time should let you know that we shouldn't be doing that. That is backwards right there. That's not even something that our ancestors used to do. I know for certain in the South, my grandparents didn't eat or drink simultaneously. If you had anything to drink with your meal, it was water. You didn't get anything sweet to drink, and that was considered like your liquid dessert almost. And it was some sweet tea or some lemonade after you already had your meal. But the elders would literally drink a glass of water an hour or two before they had a meal, and then they would wait another hour or so until after the meal to actually put something sweet in their body that they might have wanted liquid wise, like a sweet tea or lemonade or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's
I
just
still do that right now. Yeah.
And so that's the natural way. That's just the natural order of things. Like if you can detox yourself from the way that we were traditionally taught to do things under this current system, then the way our ancestors did things, they will naturally come to us. If you can fast, from burgers and chicken and all of that stuff for a certain time, then your natural circadian rhythm will start to come back. So your ancestral memory will start to come back, and you will automatically start to align and do things more righteous in a sense. Fruits, juicing is no one. You're eating living food. You're eating living things. You're aligning yourself with nature, and so of course you're going to look more alive instead of just eating blood. If you're eating meat, you're eating blood. There's no way around that. That is what you crave. That's why you have to even douse your meat with plants in order to eat it. You don't eat unseasoned meat. Our people don't eat unseasoned meat. If you like meat, you can eat it unseasoned. You like the taste of the meat. You don't even like it. You got to drown it with herbs just to be able to digest it. You got to trick your mind by smothering this meat with herbs, a whole bunch of seasoning, just to be able to digest it, to get it past your mind that you are outside of nature. So it's the same thing here. It's an electric system. It's an electric current. It's your connection to the sun. You're just basically stifling that connection. So it's not to say like 7 ether and 8 ether aren't electric currents in the same way. They just don't carry the information as well as a 9 ether would. The more the coils, the more information that's able to be carried. Okay. And the way it is, it's just what connects us to the unseen. And so we are the direct connection. Our job as 9 ether beings is to filter this reality for everybody else. We are the natural receptors of how it comes down from the raw, from the ether. And we pick it up through our hair, through our skin. We absorb it. And then we are supposed to then disseminate it to the masses, to the 7 ethers, to the 8 ethers, to the 6 ethers. But it's backwards right now, where we have 6 ethers disseminating knowledge to us, which is why we have religion, which is then why you see in the religion where they say it's okay for you to now marry a 5-year-old because you got a 6 being telling
It's
you that.
backwards.
It's backwards. You know, and so when people who are in their righteousness, who are rightfully aligned with who they are and their ancestral energy, start to reclaim that through matriarchy, you know, through warriorship in men, through the protection of the laws that are set and the guidance through the matriarchy, only then will we start to be able to rectify those things and see like a correction. I don't even want to say a correction. I would say more or less an elevation. You don't even want to correct people like that. I don't want to correct somebody who thinks it's okay to marry an 11-year-old. I don't want to correct that. I think that person is gone. You can't save that. They can never be rehabilitated. We're going to leave them on a lower level and elevate higher. So it's not even that we're trying to correct this stuff. We want to elevate above it. This is the realm of hell. We're in hell right now. They talk about in the scripture. That's why we're in the underworld. This is the underworld. That's why everything is flipped upside down and backwards. It's your brain that tells you it's right side up. So they trick you with your own computer system through hacking your DNA to now tell you you're not in hell. That's a place you go to when you die. You were born in it. You send your children to it. School is hell.
Yeah, that's what it really means. Yeah. Hebrew, school, hell. Jail is hell as well. Because jail, if you check the J and the H is interchangeable. And so and it's welding and gash in the teeth up in jail. If you ask anybody that been there, my brother that did a 5-piece, he said it was welding and gash in the teeth up in there. That's the same thing they said about in the hell in the Bible. They said it was welding and gash in the teeth. So hey, look, it's got some crazy demons in there. It's people screaming and howling, beating on the doors, scraping the walls. Man, it's goons and goblins in there, man. Yeah, man.
I
So
can imagine. And the thing they just harvesting energy in there. You in a cell. You're a battery. You're a living battery, and so they can control you. Not only that, but that's what they use to power this matrix is the jail energy. That's why all prisons are on ley lines. They align with the stars, just like our ancient temples and things like that. They're harnessing that energy to power this system. It's
the machine.
It's just like a solar power, you know, like a solar farm where you see all these solar panels up. Jail is the exact same thing. It's a replica of harnessing of energy.
Yeah, like a storage or a battery station.
That's why they're square shaped. That's why they put you in a cell that's square shaped.
It's concrete to drain the energy.
Yep. So we have to replace the system that with a sovereignty of presence. And when I say like a sovereignty of presence, it is just mindfulness. It is just intention. It is just being aware. Once you know better, you do better. In a sense.
Right.
So we're unlearning and we're relearning, or I wouldn't say we're relearning, we're just re-remembering. We're remembering all of the things that come natural to us. And we are disconnecting from the things that separate us, and fear being one of those things. Everything we want is on the other side of fear. The fact that we even fear the system and we fear the people in power, we fear the police, it just it's only prolonging this. And that is programming your DNA in alignment with fear. And that is going to thwart anything that you pass on to the next generation because it's going to be fear-based and trauma-based.
Right. All right, well, hey man, this was a bang. We gotta come back again. We're gonna bring the Lady Chief back again to crack heads and twist caps on another one. Hey y'all, everybody hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Everybody send Lady V Indigenous, send her $5, send her $10, somebody send 100, somebody send her a 25 ball, somebody send her a 50 ball, man. Put her in the game. On that cash app. We got it right there on the screen for you. For everybody that's asking. You don't got a PayPal, do you? You got PayPal? Oh yeah, you may need to get a PayPal.
No, I don't have PayPal. If they want to send me a donation, they can go to my website. It's findyourtribe.org, and they can make a donation through my website.
Yeah, and I got that in the links. I got that in the links in the descriptions for the people that's in London that need PayPal on Cash App. All right, yeah. Shout out my people in London, man. We worldwide with this. Another one. We need the lady chiefs to stand up like the Indigenous and start claiming your position, because it's we need more women chiefs. We need way more women chiefs than we got at this point. We got enough male chiefs. We need enough women chiefs standing up and teaching the youth, and because women are brilliant. Women are first. Women are God. I ain't got nothing. Hey, look, I'm down with it, man. I love my mama. Remember, I told you my mother's birthdays and my grandma's birthday on the same day. It was yesterday. Me and my brother hooked them up yesterday. My grandma and my mama. May 2nd.
Big mama.
Yeah, on 5 Deuce. On West Side Hoover, 5 Deuce. You know what I'm saying? That's Hoover Day. Yeah, Hoover Day too. That's my set. Hey, we about to get up out of here, y'all. So hey, show us some love. Show the Empress some love, y'all. The Indigenous, show us some love. Go be sure to go check out her Instagram. We got that in the links, and her website, right? And they are doing a lot of stuff with helping people get realigned with our ancestors and our old traditions on the land, because they say we got to be practicing our traditions for a certain amount of years in order to legitimize. We ain't going with shit they said anyway. We don't give a damn what they said. But we get back to our old tribal ways. We get back to Big Mama's ways on the land, right? So we send peace and love. So show some love, y'all. We send peace and love throughout the boundless universe to all the matriarchs. Hey, free Malachi York, the master teacher. Free Jeff Fort, right? The El Ricky, Big Mama's El Ricky. Yeah, free Larry Hoover, Big Mama's Bishop. And all 3 of these people are in the same jail, by the way. So that should tell you that the same guys came after all the same people, right? Because I'm telling you, man, these all in the same jail. Yeah, Florence, Colorado, huh? What you say? You want to say something before we get out of here, Lady Chief?
Oh no, I didn't say that. I said that's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they all in the same jail. They all in the same jail. Because the killer clowns, COINTELPRO operations, is the guys that put them in there. Yeah. Right? Hey, so one love, one heart. We love you all. We send divine love throughout the universe to all. Wadu. We'll be back. Never have it been made so clear.